Welcome to the castle, everybody. This is Nightsaber Z42, and I'm back with some more 8 Petals Argent, the adventure where I basically play as everybody because this is a solo adventure, and we're kind of nearing the end of this, it feels like. So without further ado, let's get into it. Previously, Monterey and Rufio return to the hideout and await the return of Latchboy and Belle. In the middle of the night, they return, but something is wrong. Too Small has been captured by the Crimson Perytons. A plan is quickly formulated. They will go and see Letty, who holds a high position in the guild, and ask her to intercede on their behalf. She agrees, but payment of the Neverwinter seal must be given to Ravello. With everything set in place, Rufio and Monterey see the agent and payment is made. But things are not quite finished. It seems that the agent has something else to say. Now that those fools are gone, I need more information about how you found the seal. I'm not one to put stock in divine communions, but my employers tell me that the Deep Winter seal marks the one who finds it. The Seeker's agent doesn't look at you as he speaks. He simply toys with the heavy ring on the table, prodding it with his wand. Seeing no reason to conceal the truth, you show the half-elf the marks on your arm, the ones you got in the blood-tainted water in Parnak Deepwinter's tomb. When you finish, the agent reveals some information of his own. The Seekers are done in the city. They're moving on, maybe to Neverwinter. They amused themselves following a bit of prophecy and spreading a bit of wealth, but now they've run afoul of the Watch. Soon there will be an investigation. Some brilliant mind will put together the clues, finding some greater meaning behind the little toys they've been collecting. I'll be leaving with them tonight. You are a bit surprised at this implication, that the mysterious Seekers are physically present in Waterdeep. You imagine something more grandiose? That they manipulated events from afar, using agents like this one. I'm told that was the last scavenger hunt, the agent says. However, for my own amusement, and because the winner of the last bounty was supposed to get an exclusive offer for the next hunt, perhaps you'll be interested in one last prize. The half-elf calls for the guards to attend you. Once more, the two armored men enter the room, one carrying a small chest. Again, they open the chest, revealing a wealth of glittering harbor moons. I confess that I suffered confusion yesterday. I expected some magic in the ring. After consulting my employers, I believe that the magic is in the blood of power that now marks your arm. By finding the Deep Winter seal, you've brought back the expected magic. That was to be an important key to the next scavenger hunt. Since I have the payment available, and you already have the key, it seems like a waste not to offer you this final bounty. As though unbidden, your eyes fall to the faint lines that infuse your arms, the snowflake pattern made by the Deepwinter Primarch's mystic blood. You think about the wealth on offer and how much your friends need it. Those coins could make a huge dent in their debt. You don't need any greater motivation. You agree immediately. The agent seems pleased. He quickly gets down to explaining the next hunt. You probably noticed that the Lantanese are sailing trade missions from their island nation once more, a place we thought destroyed over a century ago. Although they have kept to themselves, the Seekers believe the return of the Lantanese means their artifacts will work once more, including those still locked away in the old Lantanese Embassy here in Waterdeep. For your payment, you simply need to get into the embassy, activate a magic portal, and bring me whatever comes out of it. Just as important, there should be a ledger locked in a secure room, one that logged the daily use of the portal before Lantern was lost. Take these with you. The Seeker's agent removes a leather-bound diary from his pocket, sliding it across the desk to you along with the Deepwinter seal. The stamp of a four-spoked cog marks the book's cover, the symbols of Gond, a god of invention worshipped by humans and gnomes, and the patron deity of the Lantanese nation. You leaf through a few pages and find cramped columns of writing interspersed with esoteric diagrams. One of the earlier bounties, the agent explains. An old invention diary stolen from an archive beneath the House of Inspired Hands. You remember the explanation of these journals you heard just days ago, on your trip into the city. The Temple of God must have hundreds, even thousands of them locked away somewhere. You are beginning to see the connections between the Seeker's various scavenger hunts. Within this book, the half-elf says, you will find the means to activate the Argent Gate. I've marked the page. When you have proof of the portal's function, meet me by eventide at the pier opposite Sea Lion Street. I'll be on the homeward. And be mindful now, we leave on that tide, an hour before sunset. Don't bother coming if you're late. The lid to the small treasure chest snaps closed, as though to emphasize the agent's point. If you have the code probationary status, we do something. If not, we go somewhere else. So, the agent gestures to the other guard, the one not carrying the small chest. He produces a wrapped bundle from inside his silks and lays it on the table. We know a bit about what you might face in the embassy basement, the half-elf says. This might help you. Here, the Seeker's agent unwraps the item, revealing a heavy-bladed dagger. The blade is a swirl of black and gray metal. You recognize the metal as one that adventurers crave. Star metal, the agent confirms. Adamantine. You can borrow it if you like, but I'll need it back when you're done. Consider this a show of faith. I think you'll go farther than other factions. Alright, so we will take the star metal dagger, mainly because there's going to be some significance in that. There might be like a monster that can only be damaged by that type of metal, I guess. There is a bit of lore with it, and I will kind of read that fairly quickly. Star metal dagger, a simple melee weapon that weighs 1 pound. This large dagger has a heavy blade curved slightly toward its cutting edge. The design is suited for chopping, but it also has a sharp tip. The black and gray swirls of the blade identify it as adamantine, a metal highly effective for breaking objects. Whenever this weapon hits an object, the hit is a critical hit. Additionally, this dagger counts as adamantine for the purpose of creatures with resistance or immunity to damage from non-adamantine weapons. So that's exactly why I'm taking this. Resistance to non-adamantine weapons. Cool. With business concluded, the Seeker's employees make their exit. The 2 guards, the agent, and a few kitchen staff enter a hidden cellar. You presume it contains a secret passage away from the building, allowing them to avoid the crowds in the street. The cellar door booms closed, leaving you and Rufio by yourself in the empty fest hall. We also have the Invention Diary and the Deep Winter Seal. You take the Invention Diary and Deep Winter Seal from the table and put them in a pocket. You're eager to start. You have about 6 hours, but you're not sure what sort of obstacles you will face before you can reach your goal. So we have an event, Sail with the Tide, and it has 7 boxes to it. Check off a box each time the text instructs you to do so, and each time you take a short rest or perform a similar whole hour activity. If you check off the last box, then go to this part, and that means you probably failed. Although it pains you to leave your friends, you tell Rufio that the gang needs to return to the hideout to meet Too Small. She is probably alone and afraid now. You don't mean to go by yourself, do you? Rufio asks. At least take one of our friends along. You contemplate which of your friends is most likely to be useful in such a scenario. You know that experienced adventurers travel with companions whose skills complement their own, each one's strength covering for the other's defects. Which of your friends can do that for you? Is it Ace, Latchboy, Nonap, or Bell? Let's see. Ace is knowledgeable with plants and curatives. Bell has a sturdy shield and hammer. Latchboy has stealth and lock-breaking expertise. And Nonap of arcane power and esoteric knowledge. I think it would be best to take Nonap because of that, the fact that they are a magic user. But I could also see Latchboy being equally good in this situation, especially with the stealth and lock breaking. So I think I'm actually going to go ahead and take Latchboy for this one, just because of that. Like, if we meet anything that requires lockpicking, Monterey is actually kind of screwed. He can't really do anything aside from breaking doors down, which with his the pickaxe or whatever that we have. So I think Latchboy is going to be the way to go. You tell Rufio that you would like to take Latchboy with you. That's a smart choice for an infiltration mission. I know he'll appreciate you choosing him. Latchboy really looks up to you. A sidekick has a stat block that includes abilities like what a second player character would provide. You will control your sidekick in and out of combat. Remember that you can roll each option's prerequisite only once, regardless of how many allies you have with you. But the sidekick can roll in your place. So, Latchboy does have some stats. Let's take a look at that real quick. Alright, so Latchboy comes with studded leather armor, so he has an AC of 15, and he's got about 11 hit points. Speed of 30, strength of 14, dexterity of 16, constitution 12, intelligence 11, wisdom 11, and charisma of 13. Hey, he's proficient with a lute and thieves tools, which is good. That's why we have him. He's got acrobatics +5, athletics +4, investigation +2, sleight of hand +5, stealth +5. These are actually pretty good bonuses. And his saving throws involves dexterity +5. His ability is side cut. Latchboy has advantage on attack rolls against a creature if you are within 5 feet of the creature and you aren't incapacitated. So basically, sneak attack. He has a short sword and a dagger. He's actually got 4 daggers, 1 short sword, antitoxin, 5 rations, crowbar, tinderbox, 3 torches, water skin, a 100-foot hempen rope, a lute, thieves tools, and he can carry another 139 pounds of gear. So overall, fairly good for a sidekick. I'm really glad that we picked him. When you and Rufio leave the Purple Palace, Latchboy and Nonap are waiting outside. You notice that the door attendant is gone, although you have no idea where. The crowds have also departed, already having witnessed Ravello emerge with the Seeker's bounty chest in hand. Left to yourselves, the 4 of you climb into the wagon with Ace and Belle. It's still morning, and it's hard to imagine that just hours ago, multiple factions in the city were clamoring to find you, perhaps kill you, to claim the Seeker's bounty for themselves. Now you travel openly, unmolested and unfollowed. Your friends leave their extra weapons in the back of the wagon, hidden under a tarp. On your way north up Snail Street, you explain the Seeker's last scavenger hunt. After getting so close to the last bounty, and the disappointment of losing it, your friends hesitate to be hopeful again. But Latchboy agrees to accompany you. Your friends have an unusual level of confidence in your abilities, and you resolve not to disappoint them. When you reach the major intersection of Crossbow Lane, Belle pulls the wagon out of traffic and stops. You and Latchboy get out and wave your goodbyes as the wagon hurries away, your friends eager to get home and check on Too Small. As the wagon pulls away, you reflect on all that's transpired and what you've learned in the past hour. The rush of recent events has finally slowed, giving you a chance to prepare for what's to come next. You feel refreshed, eager to meet the next challenge on your own terms. You may count the respite of the past hour as sufficient to finish a short rest, which we didn't really need. But then again, this actually doesn't count as one of the hours of time that we have. So you check the position of the sun. You have 7 hours until eventide. You can't imagine what would take so long inside the Lantanese Embassy that you would need all that time, but the stakes are high enough that you shouldn't delay. That said, there are a couple of things to consider first. To prepare yourself to break into the embassy, you consider whether you'll need to acquire additional equipment. You happen to be next to Virgin Square, a market that specializes in weapons and equipment for adventurers. The other thing to consider is the invention diary the Seeker's agent provided. You have yet to examine it, and you wonder if you'll need its information before you get into the embassy. We will actually peruse the diary, because there could be something very useful that we are going to need to know, and I don't think it counts as time. The text parts of this diary are in common. However, most of the journal's pages are just diagrams, most of which illustrate machines of dubious potential. The marked page is a description of the author's visit to one of the islands of Lantan. It talks about a portal beneath the Lantanese Embassy that connects to Anchorrill and to other locations important to the Lantanese nation. The journal's owner described many details about the appearance and configurable parts of the portal frame and recorded the activation password. The password is Wolf, which I'm going to change to Wharf, the gnomish word for enjoy. Hey, you know, Lieutenant Worf always enjoys things, so there we go. Having read the invention diary, add the following event code. Alright. Read invention diary. We are going to forego checking the market. I think we are adequately prepared, especially with all the stuff that we got from the tomb. So we're actually going to continue on. We're not going to waste time. Time is very valuable here. Leaving Virgin Square behind, you cross Snail Street, headed west into the Castle Ward. As you pass the various administrative and military buildings of the government district, you notice the presence of large patrols of the city guard, Waterdeep's professional militia. Few people here have any business that doesn't relate to some governmental purpose. You soon arrive at Embassy Row, which sits at the base of a hill under the watch of the high-perched castle Waterdeep. The district's warning spire stands in the middle of this set of old buildings, a tower from which hang bells so large their warning can be heard throughout the city. Next to the warning spire, in the center of this row, sits the Lantanese Embassy. The island nation of Lantan disappeared during the Spell Plague. Its embassy in Waterdeep has been closed for the last century, its doors and windows sealed. Because Gond worship was Lantanese state religion, the priests of Gond in Waterdeep took up the care of the abandoned embassy. Their stewardship not only preserved the paint and prevented the elegant ironwork of the facade from erosion, the influence of the House of Inspired Hands prevented the redevelopment or repurposing of the building, keeping the embassy ready for the day when the Lantanese returned to occupy it once more. As you walk down Embassy Row, your companion following a short distance behind comes up in sight of your destination. You stop suddenly. What you see makes you think that your task might be more complicated than you expected. Embassy Row is one of the quietest areas of the castle ward. That is, on any normal day. Today, however, the Lantanese Embassy is the site of a busy encampment. A row of large tents lines the street in front of the building, and several tables stand on the grassy lawn. Even at a distance, you recognize the dozens of people in the area by their broad-brimmed hats. The Temple of Gond must be using the grounds as a place to encamp visiting priests. The temple expects every Gondar in range of the city to make the annual journey here for the Day of Wonders, to turn in the year's invention diaries and renew ties. The House of Inspired Hands must have had too many visitors to house in Gondwatch Lane this year. You approach the embassy cautiously, trying not to draw attention to yourself while still getting close enough to examine your target. You find a convenient statue about a block away from the crowd. Not only can you hide behind it, you might also claim to be a tourist admiring the sculpture should anyone question your loitering. You spend some time observing the Gondar. They leave and arrive in groups as though attending meetings or services in other locations. Those at the encampment seem engaged in animated debates while they eat and drink at the large tables. Attendants bring food out of the embassy, probably from a temporary kitchen erected there. The atmosphere is one of leisure. Just then, you feel a tap on your shoulder, the pre-arranged warning that someone is coming. You shift your attention to the statue you were looking past, now pretending to admire it. Then, you hear someone call your name. You turn, surprised. You don't recognize the two tall figures who approach. Not until they throw back their cloaks, revealing their stilt-like footwear. It is Habrad and Glutch, the gnomes you journeyed alongside from Daggerford. They seem to have mastered the practice of walking in their heightening footwear. The gnomes are overjoyed at this chance encounter. "Come along to our encampment," Glutch says, inviting you down the road to where the Gondar are taking their leisure. You are about to protest when Habrad adds,
"Come and get some food while it lasts. We've all got to get packed up and over to the Seaward before the High Sun Conference."
At these words, a plan forms in your mind. If you mingle with the priests coming and going from the embassy building, you might be able to linger after they leave for their meeting or find some easy way to get back in. This may be an easy option, but it will cut a couple of hours off your timeline. We are actually going to accept this because it's like the only way, basically. We could decline and try to find a faster way into the embassy, but that's a very big long shot. So we'll spend the time to actually get in.
Wonderful, Glutch says, slapping Habrad on the back. Come along with us.
The two elderly gnomes lead the way down the block, you and your companion in tow. An attendant at the first table you pass grabs you by the arm and pushes a plate into your hand.
Eat now, while the kitchen's open, she says.
You follow Habrad and Glutch from table to table, watching the two sample the food as they go. You try not to stand in this crowd, but you soon find you have nothing to worry about in that sense. Your two friends are quite popular among their fellow priests. The crowd's attention never wanders from their stories of past year's parades. While Glutch tells a tale about the year Marchel's magnificent chair stole the show, you excuse yourself from the table.
It flew so well, but Marchel never designed a way to land, Glutch says.
While laughter erupts from the table behind you, you carry your plate towards some kitchen facilities just inside the front door of the embassy. The kitchen staff are busy preparing more plates of food. They don't object to your presence, but you decide not to do anything too suspicious. You examine the beautifully carved frescoes in the entryway, biding your time until the kitchen staff become preoccupied. When you see your moment, you duck around a corner, moving deeper into the embassy. Some attentive cook will soon wonder where you went, so you search quickly until you find a large room, its furniture covered with sheets to protect from dust. You find a side door here and remove the heavy locking bar. With your mission accomplished, you return to the kitchen and pick up a plate of food waiting to go out. Some of the kitchen staff eye you suspiciously, but you carry the plate outside before anyone asks questions. You rejoin your friends at one of the tables. No one seems to have noticed your absence. You wait here for 2 more hours, enjoying the hospitality of the Temple of Gond. As the hour of high sun approaches, the priests begin to don their distinctive hats and prepare to move elsewhere. The kitchen staff pack up, carrying extra food to a waiting wagon. Then they lock the embassy doors behind them. One of the priests lays a spell over the door to reinforce it before the column of Gondar starts walking north. You say your farewells to Habrad and Glutch, a warmer goodbye than your last party. The gnomes make you promise to meet for one last drink before they leave Waterdeep tomorrow. Then they hurry to catch up with their fellow priests. You almost feel bad about using their friendship like this, but the moment soon passes, because you just don't care. The Slipstone gang will be out of their home if you fail at this last scavenger hunt. With that heavy thought on your mind, you lead your companion around the side of the embassy, cutting through a well-tended hedge and slipping inside through the building's side door. So check off 2 boxes on the sale with the Tide event code. I kind of figured that. You find the wide basement stairs and descend several flights before reaching a set of ornately carved double doors. Despite their obvious weight, they swing easily on their pin hinges, revealing a 20 by 20 foot antechamber. As you enter the room, the large stones in the ceiling flicker, then begin to emit a warm, bright light that illuminates the area. The dust on the floor is thick and gritty, the accumulation of a century. You can feel it with each step, making the ground slippery to walk on. The dust also reveals 2 sets of tracks moving from the south to the east, a sign that others came through here recently. On your left, an alcove contains a clockwork humanoid standing on a low pedestal as dust covered the floor. One of the construct's arms waves slowly, as in greeting. The motion is slow and stilted. You can hear the arm's internal components cracking bit by bit as the greeter continues its automated task. Alright, according to your understanding of proper adventuring parties, you and your companion should split any treasure discovered here. Keep track of anything of value you find in the embassy basement, beginning now. Half that wealth rightly belongs to your friend. In the case of any magic items you might find, your companion will agree that you should keep them, since you are more likely to put them to good use.
Ha! If only he knew. I don't believe in magic.
Anyways. On your right, a wide passage extends eastward to an east-facing doorway, then sharply turns north. As you are contemplating the eastward passage, you hear a crack followed by the grind of rusty gears. The automaton in the western alcove is animating. Although the creature is having difficulty moving, it seems bent on stopping you from going further into the basement. As it approaches, the guardian opens its massive hands in a grasping gesture and a reedy, crackling voice emanates from you.
You will surrender to this machine,
it says, but the machine doesn't seem to be waiting to accept surrender. It lumbers straight at you. To be continued.